there's something and you can tell I'm not a top of funnel branding expert because I'm going to call it the expressed interest funnel, which is the worst name. I'm just
that is so an email marketing person to say like
that's what I mean. In 20 years of working in this business, I have really learned to embrace the things that I'm great at, which is a lot of systems and automations and complex workflows. What I'm not great at is coming up with brand names, logo design. So I hand it off to really smart
I think
people.
in my world that would be called like the marketing qualified lead, right? Like the express interest funnel.
An MQL. Yes, we love the acronym. But outside of the terrible name that I have given it, the expressed interest sequence or funnel is, I think, one of the most powerful. And it's when I do move the cups, this is one of the first things I do. Because to your point about, what are people doing, saying, people in our audiences, and let's just take an email list as one example. You can apply this to any other funnel, whether it's conversations on social media, maybe it's looking at your path through SEO. What landing page are you driving people to because of your optimization, and then what happens to your point. But people are telling you every single day what they're interested in, right? And so a good example is, if you think about an abandoned cart workflow, well, these are pretty common in most modern tech stacks, right? So if you, using your example, you have a landing page, maybe someone can purchase right from there. They put it in their cart, they start to type in their information, and then they either think, oh, this isn't the right time, or they get distracted because their kid is screaming or something, the kitchen's on fire, which is a very me thing because I can't cook. But for whatever reason, they've started to put it into their cart and start to check out, and then they left. And we all get those abandoned cart follow-up emails, whether it's, Amazon or Nordstrom or whatever it is. But what I find is that there's actually usually a higher number of people who have taken action by clicking on the sales page or the landing page or the offer page, but not actually started the checkout process. And unless you say, oh, those people were so intrigued by my email that they went over and visited the site, but they weren't intrigued enough to put it in their cart, there's a real opportunity there. And so this expressed interest, sort of pseudo abandoned cart sequence, is one of the first things I do. And that is simply to tag people who click the sales page or look at the data after the fact. If you don't do this perfectly, again, you can always go back and look at data, even if you didn't perfectly trigger it or tag it or set it up in the system, and look at the number of people who clicked the sales page from the email but didn't hit the abandoned cart. When I reach out to them, whether it's through an email, a personalized video, a text message, if you have that data in your system, the conversions that my clients and I see, I would say 20% is the lowest number of increased conversions. And these are people that probably would not have signed up otherwise. They often just need that final nudge. They need to know, hey, someone's actually keeping an eye on what I'm
paying
doing.
Attention.
Someone saw that. Exactly.
My behavior matters.
That's exactly right. It's just going back to, like, what do I want my audience to feel when they're having these conversations, even if they know they're ultimately being sold to, or there's a reason that you're marketing to them. I find that they're just really thankful when they say, oh, like, thank you for noticing. I did check it out. I actually would love to sign up, but I have a payment obstacle, or I'm not sure that this has worked for someone like me. And in having those conversations, which sometimes are a little bit more one-to-one and don't scale as well, you can actually meet the person where their pain point is and say, I understand completely. Actually, here's a case study I can send you of someone who is exactly like you that really thrived in this program. Or, I don't normally offer this payment plan, but because I know that you have a real financial, issue. So again, I think that when we're talking about, like, what takes a good launch to a great launch, or what takes a good program to a great program, it is in those micro conversions. And 20% higher conversion, just do the math. Whether you have a $100 or a $10,000 offer, an increase of 20% is real money. And also, because I know your listeners are all really impact focused, it also means that you're able to have that more positive impact on your community. So that's just one example of what I think is actually a pretty simple opportunity that often gets missed because it's not one of the ones that's just like an out of the box template.
Yes, I love that. I used to do that really well, and I've sort of gotten out of the habit of doing it when we're launching something, because it is really time consuming and can be very energetically draining as the person doing that sort of outreach. But the response rate that I've had to that. When I will,
Mhm.
send a sales email and say, the cart's closing in a week, and the sales email will say, here's a link to the sales page, reply if you have any questions. And then I'll notice who is actually clicking on the page but hasn't purchased yet, and just
Yep.
like shoot them an email. Sometimes there will be a video. Sometimes I'll
Yeah.
even say like, hey, I took a look at your website. I think you'd be a great fit for this program because of one, two, three. What do you think? And then the thing that I think you just tapped on, but I want to kind of drill down into, is they say, well, I thought maybe it was a good fit for me, but those objections can then turn into an email. They can go on to the FAQ of the sales
Exactly.
page. They can become a blog post to explain to people why, a life coach needs these shoes, whatever it is. You can
Yes, that's
you
exactly
can
right.
take those sort of, I would say, almost bottom of funnel or like middle of funnel objections and
Mhm.
pull them up the funnel, put them into the nurture sequence, create the top of funnel
Absolutely.
content so that by the time the next time you start talking about this service, those people will be ready. But that personalized outreach is just as important too, right? Like it doesn't all have
That's
to be automated
right.
back up
And
the funnel.